This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome in, Paul Catalina alongside Garrett Ross here on the Triple Option. Back after, 3 days of no Triple Option when you count Friday, which we didn't do one. Well, we didn't do it on Thursday, right?
So we had Wednesday. Yeah, we didn't do Thursday. Friday, we typically don't do one.
Yeah. Friday we don't do one. Thursday we didn't do one because we were filming a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
So it was just easier for us to film things and do it better. Here's the thing. I understand that you guys want to see me every day because I want to see me every day because I'm awesome.
Awesome.
But that's that's the most brash I can ever get. I'm there's so many people in our industry that are like, this is the best show you've ever seen in your life.
I'm not with all that.
And we're the authority on everything.
Yeah.
And you do have to toot your own horn. And I know that we do good work, and I appreciate it. But it is very hard. It is very hard. And there are things as we grow that we have to do more of. And do that, I just need to make sure it's organic and not here's why we're awesome.
Well, I also think it's more of a balance of coming across genuine about something and being confident with it instead of being arrogant or an ass. There's two different ways of going about it and properly delivering the same message of how you carry yourself or your company in general.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always proud of the work that we do, in what we can get across. And we're not even I'll just tell you right now, we're not even scratching the surface of what this is about to be.
Oh no,
we have, and we have one person watching the show right now. So, maybe they just forgot, and it's retired stockbroker.
No, he's in the chat. We got 34 watching.
Oh, and 34. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Okay. It just says 1 on mine. So
now we're at 46. It's
46.
bumping.
Okay, there we go. Was 1 in the chat. So I was gone. I went to Nashville over the weekend just to get a little time with my in-laws. We had almost the whole crew of Amanda's family there, save for Bella, who you guys met, actually. She was here. And then her dad, Troy, he had to work, so he couldn't come. But Carrie, who is my sister-in-law, and 3 of her 4 kids were there. And then I got to see Rami and Bree, who you guys have also met. Coming here to the show. So I got to see all those people. It was really fun. I love being in Nashville. I love going there. It's a great city. And there's great stuff. I was in Murfreesboro, so I wasn't even really in Nashville other than to land and take off.
Right.
But, it was great. It was great to see friends that we have up there. I love it. It was a nice, relaxing end of summer jaunt. I saw something in the airport yesterday that I've never seen before. I should have given you a lower res picture so you could show it. But I took a picture and sent it to you. I saw a guy, and I had to work through this with Amanda last night because I don't know how a guy this drunk gets into the airport and through security. This was not in the outside security area where you can sit and look, Nashville doesn't really have that. As soon as you're done, some airports do. Orlando, they have a mall, the mall area of shops. There's one outside of security, or they used to be. I don't know how they've moved things around, but used to there would maybe be. Think about Love Field. We've been to Love Field. There's some places you can sit down. There's a Brugger's Bagels, whatever, right there, outside of security, and do that. I saw a man yesterday, and I had to work through it with Amanda because the one thing I didn't know, and I even talked to the paramedics, and this is how bad drunk he was. How a guy this drunk gets to the airport by himself, gets through security, checks a bag, whatever he does, by himself and doesn't get stopped.
Right.
So my theory is that he came in off of just partying all night long because it was 5:30 in the morning when I saw him. So just came in after partying all night long. Got through as best you can, knowing it at TSA noticed, or they're like, whatever, get this asshole on the plane. He'll be like, he's not our problem once he's through security. And this dude was, I'm going to back up for a second so you can see. He was sitting on a chair, like a kind of a couchy type chair in the middle of the C terminal in the Nashville airport at B&A. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. And he's just like this.
Yeah, he was definitely slumped.
Well, the other part was he was like, when I first saw him, I almost ran to help him because he was almost falling off the chair asleep. And then he like popped back up. You know that thing you do when it's just like, And he did. And so I went into the you can buy, like, here's the best part about the Nashville airport. You can buy whiskey at the airport, and they'll seal it in a bag for you.
Of course they
and
will.
you take it home. So I bought my whiskey. Company Distilling is the one I like the most there. And so I get on the like get it, and I'm walking out, and I just see this guy even worse. Like just like that. So I go and I sit down behind kind of a partition because there's some tables there so I can work before I get here. And I'm not going to be going to sleep like him and all that. So I go and, whatever, I start working, and then like the lady who's like kind of cleaning up in the area, like sees him, and then she calls in on the radio, and then the paramedics come and they come and ask me like, hey, you know what's going on with this guy? I'm like, he just looks blasted to me. He's like, yeah. And this is the exact words. Yeah, no crap, dude. He's blasted. I was like, yeah, I don't know him or anything.
Right. Yeah, like that's your responsibility.
I don't know him. And he was like,
no.
But the guy was like kidding around. Like, yeah, I said, he is just ripped beyond belief. Gone. Slobbering. So they got him up and walked him to this area in the back, gave him an IV. I don't know what else happened.
Yeah.
I think they gave him, the guy said they were probably going to have to pump 2 to 3 bags in him to get him like cleared and awake, which means that he had to pee like no one ever else had to pee ever in an airport. And which happens a lot. Like, have you ever seen like somebody getting off the plane?
Oh, just that was mad dash.
The mad dash because they had to pee, but they're like, we're landing in 2 minutes. And you're like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. And then you're sitting there waiting for everybody to get up. You're in the middle and you're just like, oh God, my kidneys are going to explode. I'm sure that's what it was like. But he came walking back, but his shoes, like his clothes were all strewn about. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But it was, I still don't know how a guy that drunk got through TSA.
I think that it's, honestly, I feel like in areas like Nashville, maybe, like Miami, Vegas, Cancun. Because I'm thinking about this. Like, I was pretty messed up when we came back from Cancun my senior year. And it was a rough plane ride. And so I think it's more common in areas like that. But my thing would be the medical bill that I'm going to get because I was too drunk and had to get IVs in the airport. That would make me mad at myself. Like, really mad.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part.
I'm just thinking of the medical bills because they're going to tax, you're going to get hit with it. And then to me, it's like, do you double down on it because it's in an airport? It's not like a regular hospital? Like, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Like, I don't know how they do that. I mean, again, if honestly, like how he found his ID, got through security. Like,
somebody probably had to have helped him.
But he was there alone. He was just there alone. So I did see a group of dudes in a bar, like around the corner, and I wonder if maybe he was part of this group, and then they just left him there, and then maybe he was going to a different place. Like they're all leaving, they're like, we're gonna keep drinking because the bars are open at 6 a.m. And and he was just like already gone, and they're like, no, Fred's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And they have the cool, like in Nashville, they have the cool scanners where you don't have to take anything out of your bag. You just put it in. So,
Austin had one of those, didn't they?
Yeah, Austin has that. Yeah. I had that both ways of the trip. Yeah. So Vegas has it now. Garrett's gotten through now twice.
Yep.
So.
Know what it is, man.
Anyway, so to business, Garrett. And earlier today, I sent you an article from ESPN.com.
Yep.
And that was the toughest and easiest schedules.
Yep.
And it is written by Chris Lowe, a guy we've had on the show a couple times. One of the best college football writers, and really plugged into the SEC. We know who the toughest schedule is.
Yes.
It's Florida. Like that's probably where the genesis of this article started. Was, okay, let's compare Florida's gauntlet of a punishing schedule to everyone else in the country and see how it goes. And as we are knocking on the door here of practices starting and all that, matter of fact, we had the gathering with the Baylor coaches last night.
Had a blast,
I talked to Matt Pallage a lot, and I talked to Jake Spavital. I didn't really talk to position coaches. You got to talk to Caleb Collins. He's one of the newer coaches.
Yeah, I talked to Caleb Collins, outside linebackers coach, man. We had a great talk for a while. Got some insight on him. Got to learn about just kind of his path and trajectory with Dave Aranda. They crossed paths at LSU and everything, and they got to talk to Aranda a little bit. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of great insight there.
Yeah. I also think that when they told you can bring Parker out to practice,
God, dude.
You're going to need to bring Jack with you to videotape
I think
some of
Jack
that.
might have been more excited than I was, because I told Jack, and he was like, yes. He's like dabbing me up. And so my immediate thought was like, Jack's pictures. I want Jack to get some pictures out there.
Yeah, it's going to be I mean, like, he's just going to.
Well, I've been wanting to do that for a while. You know me. Like, it takes a while for me to kind of get warmed up to things. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? Ask him. So I asked Aranda, I asked Brent Ingram, the head of the SID department over there, and they were all for it, man. Bring Parker out, let him get to meet the team.
I can't. Look, if we get some video of it, well, we need to show it on both shows.
Yes.
But Parker has, he's a ham now, man.
Very much so.
He is. I mean, the last time he was in here, I think he was like, it was a spring cleaning day that he was here. And so he immediately went and sat up next to me at the thing thinking we were going to do, because last time that's what he did. Yeah. And then I was like, no, buddy, we're not. And he had this look of like, okay, you might not. You might not. Like, you might not. But Parker's in the studio, bro.
Exactly.
We are doing a podcast.
Yep.
So best turn some cameras on.
He does that all the time at the house, man. He'll do like a little setup, and he'll go, all right, action. Like, all right, buddy, let's do it.
I get it. You guys were not planning on doing your podcast today.
But it's mine.
But this is not about you.
Yes.
You get to come here every day. I only get to come like once every couple of months. So, that'll be really exciting. Hardest schedule, Florida. By far, ridiculous. Their last 6 games are just...
It's absurd.
It's absurd. It is absurd. If I didn't hate them so much, I would feel sympathy.
I mean, I'm right there with you. I'm thoroughly going to enjoy watching Florida get smashed this year.
That's the thing about this that makes it so unsportsmanlike, right? So I would like to be like, oh man, poor guys, but like when it's like when you find out the bully from your high school is like the lowest man on the totem pole at his crap office. Yes. Like, that's where it is. You're like, oh well. Too bad for him.
How the tables have turned, my friend.
Life is cyclical, isn't it? It's always going to come back around.
Oh, that's great.
That's just kind of how it feels. Yep. I know for people who don't like Texas, it will never happen to Texas. It will never happen to Texas. No. I have many theories, though, on why this happened to Florida. The most of which is they already had a non-conference schedule that had Miami and UCF on it. Then the schedule changes for everybody. Somebody had to lose that SEC schedule lottery this year with the new formula that they're doing. But when you have Miami, UCF, and Florida State in your 3 non-conference games, you're kind of hoping that factors into any of the scheduling at all, because really, and look, there's a lot of SEC teams with really good non-conference schedules, but nobody has that one that tough.
Right.
There's nobody that has one that tough. Especially if Miami's as good as we think they're going to be this year, Florida State's still going to be good, and UCF is going to be better. That's 3 teams in your state that are all tough and all hate your guts.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like a recruiting battle. That's exactly. All eyes are going to be on that game if you're a recruit.
So UCF and Florida are by no stretch of the imagination rivals, but nothing would make the people in Orlando happier than to, put a dent in Gainesville. It's just how it is. Like, they would love it to be able to do it again. Remember, they did it in a bowl game, but they would love that. Like, it again, you can't. Well, the team like Florida that already has Tennessee, LSU, and Florida State is their main kind of rivals. And that Georgia. And LSU is like fourth on their list, and that's still a pretty big rival. Yep. Florida State's number 1, Georgia's number 2, Tennessee's probably number 3, and then LSU's number 4. And those most people don't have that many. Florida has a lot.
Well, they got a target. They've made themselves
a target. Yeah. So you already have that. You add in Miami, who is a rival you don't play a lot, but there's a sense of a rivalry there. It's not as classic as the other ones because they don't play all the time, but it's there. And then you get this schedule where Texas and Oklahoma are coming in. Well, you'd rather get Oklahoma, but you get Texas. Yeah. A&M is there, a team that you've split against, I think, when they've played. Or maybe A&M might be 2-1 against them. I mean, they haven't played all that much.
I can't remember on that one.
You still have Georgia on the schedule. Yeah. I mean, that one's not going away. And so then you get all of that thrown in, and the worst SEC game you're going to get is Mississippi State, who again does not like you.
No, I think it's going to be intriguing to see how long, how long this team goes through if the losses start piling up and you just mentally give up on your locker room. That's going to be interesting to see and track. Also, how the offensive line holds up throughout the season and what Graham Mertz is able to do, because you're going to have, if we know it, Graham Mertz is going to make a lot of mistakes. Yeah. But he has one of those games where he throws 3 picks, the DJ Lagway train.
Well, and the thing is that last year Graham Mertz did not throw a lot of picks. They just had a lot of 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
I mean, they just had a lot of 3-and-outs.
Out of Pearsall, he had nothing. They really couldn't spread the ball out.
But he had Pearsall and Etienne last year. Both those guys are gone now. Yeah. They brought in some people. Billy Napier says this is the most talented team he's had at Florida, but that's not really.
That's not saying much.
No, I mean, that's like saying this is the best. This is the best steak I've ever had at Golden Corral. Right. Okay. I mean, you haven't had good ones while you've been there. This one might taste better than the other two, but is it just because you happen to catch the steak bin as it came out from the back as opposed to 2 hours later? That's all a matter of perspective. I do wonder that either Florida did something egregious at one of these SEC meetings, locked Greg Sankey in a porta potty or something. Let's see if we can get Sankey in here. Okay. Or, put a bunch of hot sauce in his coffee. Or here's my one theory that would really make this work is that they're having some kind of fancy gala and somebody from Florida gets really drunk and goes up to Sankey's wife hey, what's your name? What are you doing here?
I could definitely see that.
I was all right, that's it.
Dude, one thing that boggles my mind, I said this to Smokey the other day. So we had Christy Dosh on, and she was talking about NIL and everything, and she was talking about she teaches at Florida and how handling the students and going through all the changes and everything. And I'm sitting there listening to her, man, and her insight was unreal. Top-notch, remarkable what she was spitting out there. And the whole time I'm thinking, how do you have a woman on your campus with this knowledge of this and you completely have a Jaden Rashada issue at both? That is inexcusable to me.
You know what? I'll tell you. It's funny because everybody outsources, right?
Yeah.
So when Baylor had their gigantic scandal, you know this because we had a lot of the interns. We've had one or two here, but we had a lot of interns from the PR majors who would come in and they would work with us and they build their portfolio. It's a huge project. Dr. Cassie Burleson, who's just one of the most wonderful professors and people, is the head of the program. And I asked her, she came in, she would come in and she always did a site check and we'd do a one-on-one about who it was. And I was talking to her and said, I'm curious, did they ever come to you guys during their darkest hours and say, hey, can you work us up a PR strategy since you guys teach this? No, they paid millions of dollars to firms.
That makes no sense to me.
They came up with the worst strategy possible of, okay, here's how we're going to approach this crisis. And I mean, it just was terrible. I have a good friend in the PR business who was like, this is
Just bad.
I don't know who came up with this, but this is, it's like they went to a political party and were like, hey, how would you do this? And they're like, well, we would deflect. We wouldn't admit, we would just deflect. You'd be like, hey, did you in fact harass that intern? And be like, look, everybody harasses interns.
Yeah, there's no proof.
There's so many people, especially my opponents across the aisle. All they do is harass interns. Like that. That's kind of how their response was. So it's not surprising to me that Florida would have this problem because, and then not. All right, if you've got people who teach it,
yes,
like they're there for you almost for free.
Yeah,
for you to go. You're already paying them to teach the thing. You could ask a little advice. But instead, you get so like, well, this PR firm is, they were with this person,
right,
and look how they were with Paula Dean. She's doing fine now, like that. That's what they do. Like we're going to go to them, and like, okay, well, it's all a matter of perspective, but. But yeah, so Florida's got the toughest.
Yep.
Easiest Power 4 schedule overall is SMU. The toughest one they have is a game I will be at Florida State when it comes in. But the rest, they got a nice welcome present to the ACC. They got a good ACC schedule this year. They only got, one of the big three, which would be Florida State, Miami, and Clemson.
Right.
Whatever order Florida State and Clemson you want to put in, given on the year. So that's good. The easiest non-Power 4 schedule would be Liberty, once again. And I am not surprised because the easiest Power 4 schedule for a very long time was right down the road at Baylor, and they have the AD who made that.
So I'll never understand this because it's never worked. It didn't work at all at Baylor. Like it helped you pat your stats or whatever, but when it came down to it, you had no significant win that you could hang your hat on to carry you over into playoff contention or conversation. Yeah. And then you go into Liberty, and especially how the season unfolded last year, and Oregon just flat out embarrassed you in the bowl game. When you have Caden Salter saying, I'm coming back, like you should have learned. And I know these schedules are made out ahead of time. But we've seen since COVID that you can adjust this pretty quickly, and teams have been dropping and moving. It's not as difficult as it once was. So I think if you want to make the perception of your program better, you've got to do the initial in-house stuff to help. And continually to have a schedule like this is ridiculous, man.
Yeah, no, I look, you can go play one.
Yeah, go get beat. Who cares? It's going to make you better.
Look, they beat Baylor.
Yeah.
They beat Baylor.
Oh, that was
their announcement on the scene. So,
but as far as the SMU goes, like I understand the perception saying this is the easiest overall P4 schedule. But at the same time, like I know you're playing, so you got Pittsburgh, Boston College, Virginia, and Cal. Those are all better than everybody you've been playing week in and week out. And I don't think this is something that can be taken for granted for SMU going in, because we've seen it too many times, like especially in the Big 12 over the past couple of years with the programs that are coming in. It's more difficult than it seems to be, especially along the trenches. And I think that's something they're going to be good. SMU's going to have a successful season, but I think that they got to be careful with that, not get over their skis.
So the easiest Power 4 non-conference schedule is Ohio State, which is Michigan was last year, Ohio State this year. Both of them usually schedule good ones, but Michigan, I mean, it didn't matter for Michigan. They beat everybody.
Right.
They beat everybody solidly. I mean, there was never even the playoff. The Alabama game was close. The Washington game was close for a little bit, but they're the national champion. Like they proved it out. They didn't need a tough non-conference schedule to prove it. But they did have to keep winning. My only concern about Michigan was, okay, when you've played teams that are really good and can match your talent, what's going to happen? And they still won.
Yeah.
They still won. They would have beat probably anybody they played last year, although I would have loved to see a very healthy FSU team get a crack at them because,
Yeah.
But I don't, it didn't happen. And the FSU probably loses, they're so good on defense, FSU probably still loses that game. But
but this one, though, I think you got to be careful if you're Ohio State, because remember last year, right? Like all the talk going into it was Georgia's schedule and how cake that was. And I think Ohio State can find them themselves in a situation where Like, if you don't take care of business, you could find yourself missing the playoff like Georgia did last year when you had a layup before the season even started.
Yeah. Clemson's first few games, Georgia, App State, NC State, FSU, all going to be really tough. So we'll know early on about them. But I want to get into what you did. You think that there are some Big 12 teams that have tougher schedules than some of the ones that are on this list, like UCLA and was it Oregon?
Yeah, so what it is right now you have a section in this article where it's must-see non-conference games. And what they did was, and I appreciate them doing this, was the only games considered were games actually on campus. So if it's a neutral site game like LSU and USC, it does not make this list. So I'm going through, like, you got Miami at Florida. That should be – I agree with that. Notre Dame at A&M, I agree with that. Penn State, West Virginia, I'm really excited for that game. But going down the list, you get here and you get Oregon at Oregon State and UCLA at LSU and back-to-back. And I really don't think either one of those are good games. Like, I think that – Oregon State, with the unfortunate circumstance they find themselves in, aren't going to be able to compete with Oregon. Now, I know it's a rivalry game, the bitterness, yada, yada, but I just think realistically Oregon's talent, that shouldn't be a good game. And if you look at UCLA, like, LSU's not that good. Like, they're going to be an average team this year. They're going to be pretty good, but, like, they're significantly better than UCLA. It's like UCLA going to Death Valley, I don't think that's necessarily a good game. So I was intrigued and looked at how some of the Big 12 teams could stack up and possibly replace those from my perspective. And the first one that jumped out to me is on October 5th, UCF at Florida, the game we just talked about earlier, man. Like, dude, like, I think UCF is better than Florida on paper. I think they're better than Florida on the field. I think they have a better coach. They got a better quarterback. They have better running backs. Like, that is going to be a hell of a game. And I think that's one that definitely should have made this.
Yeah. I mean, they've got Kobe Hudson at wide receiver. I mean, they're good. I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is going to be a big test for them. But, yeah, UCF at Florida, and they played in the bowl game, which is a huge one. Mm-hmm. But them going in with a team that can beat Florida into the swamp cannot be overstated how important that is to them as now a fellow power conference team, a Big 12 team versus the SEC.
Yes.
This is a game that the whole conference.
This is one they need to win for the conference.
Yes. Like, we'll be like, guys, if we're going to get, if we don't win any other non-con games. Yeah. This is one of the ones we really would love to have.
It kind of following that mold. The second game I came across that I think could make this list over those two matchups in particular is going to be September 7th, Arkansas at Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Now, this is the first time they're meeting since 1980, which I did not realize.
Wow.
But they played annually from 1962 to 1980. So, Barry Crawford, Wet Blanket, like, I'm interested to see how excited Pokes fans are for this matchup because while Arkansas is down, I mean, I think that's one that could be definitely one to keep an eye on in this mix. Another one I'm looking at. Now, I know this isn't a sexy matchup, and that's probably why it's not on there at all, but Iowa State, Iowa on the 7th, like, that's a big game. That's another one of those where if you're the Big 12, you have an opportunity to get a dub over the Big 10. The Cyclones have lost 7 of 8 in this, but that's one I think could make the list. And then I think this one's interesting. BYU at SMU on a Friday. Like, that's going to be fun. I think Gary Bohannon is the type of quarterback that you could rely on in a situation like that if you're BYU. I'm not really sold on how many wins he can lead them to throughout the year, but I think his experience in a game like that could be one that would be fun. Plus, that's another one where the Big 12 has an opportunity, especially now with the ACC and the Big 12 kind of going at it with who's the number 3 conference here. If that's a win that BYU is able to get, that's another big one for the conference as well. And then a couple of wild cards just because they're unique. Baylor at Utah, while it's a conference game, but it's a non-conference game. And then Arizona and Kansas State. I think that's kind of one that falls into the same match.
Yeah. Yeah, good work on those, figuring those out. Oklahoma State, Arkansas is something that they should consider doing more often.
Yes, especially with Oklahoma game gone.
Well, yeah, Oklahoma game's gone. We need more cross-conference stuff like that, Big 12 SEC things, and they share a border, for God's sakes.
Like, do it.
Yeah, they share a border, do it. And look, I get there's probably not incentive for Arkansas to, really schedule that, given how much different the trajectories of the programs have been. But
yeah, a little bit.
But yeah, I think that'll be great. That's going to be a big one. Oklahoma State's going to be lit up for that one. They're going to lit up for that one. That for sure. And that's a big one too for Sam Pittman. I mean, that's can you beat one of the marquee teams in the Big 12 in another conference?
But just think about this: like Arkansas would kill for the consistency of Oklahoma State. Like if they just had that consistency, I think they would be viewed totally different in the pecking order of the SEC right now.
Well, look, right now, the only teams I put below Arkansas in the SEC are Vanderbilt. I don't even put Kentucky below. I think
Kentucky's better than that. I think Vandy, Mississippi State,
and South Carolina.
Yeah.
And again, between Mississippi State, South Carolina, and Arkansas, historically Arkansas is the best.
Yeah, which is weird.
They've won the best, but right now, currently, they might as well all have A, B, C next to them as to where they are. But yeah, Vanderbilt would be again, they're in the bottom 4 of the SEC. They've been so nondescript. They have these years where oh, hey, a couple years ago they popped up and won some games, and they could not sustain it for whatever reason. We'll see if John Tyson invest in the football coach like he has for the basketball coach. I doubt they have that kind of relationship.
No.
Also, football coaches, maybe you want to start buttering up to the Jones family a little bit more.
Yeah, that's I don't understand that dynamic.
I don't know if Jerry gives them money, that's for sure. But I don't think, he's got his own team to worry about.
Yeah.
And, thank God that thing's going back to home.
But you would think, though, as much as they love it, that there would be somebody else to come through to help with that.
How much do you think the fact that Arkansas only won that game at Jerry World one time?
That stung a little.
Had to do with, that was also, this is why this is going back home and home, because Jerry's I'm tired of, hosting this game that the team I want to win loses all the time.
I appreciate y'all's money, but
he can't tell the NFL we're not going to play the 49ers anymore.
Yeah.
He can't do that, but he can certainly go, maybe it's time you go back home and home.
Yeah.
And they're yeah, we'd rather do that. And he's yeah, it's probably, this year we've got the Jonas Brothers coming in, and then Beyonce, and then we might have Beyonce again. I don't know. It's just that day is always, it's just a tough day on the calendar for us. We'll have a Cowboys game. It's just, it's just not going to work. Let's not get into that. And they're well, we kind of wanted to stop it anyway. And he's no, it's not, because I've had, 10 of these in a row that only one of them ended well. Or maybe 2. I think Arkansas won 2.
I think they won a couple of them.
I think they won 2 of them. But that game was for so long for Arkansas. They would be in control, and then A&M would their way to a win.
Just ridiculous.
And then Arkansas was oh, well, crap, here we go again. Yep. So, yeah, they won a couple of them. But of the 10 years they did it or whatever, A&M ran away with that series. Yeah, it wasn't even close. So, but yeah. Anything else in this game? Here's some of the watch it games he has, which I think are interesting. Boise State at Oregon, which that should be the LeGarrette Blunt.
Oh yeah,
thing.
We had
LeGarrette on at the Super Bowl 2 years ago. He was great.
Yeah, he was awesome.
And we didn't even ask him about it. And he kind of brought it up. He decked that dude.
That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen on live.
It was it's not something you do, but.
I loved it. It was funny.
It was akin to Rougned Odor and Jose Batista. Sometimes.
Yep.
When you have the distance from it and realize,
but the dude, I understand where that guy was coming from, but you don't go up in his face like that. What are you expecting to happen?
Look, this dude, I'm gonna tell you. We talked about it when we had him on. He's from Perry, Florida.
Bro, he's swole.
He's a big dude from the country.
Yeah.
All right. Perry, Florida is country. As a matter of fact, one of my good friends from college was from Perry. He knows her, and he knew all about her. And I grew up in Florida for a long time, and I never met anybody I came from Bossier City, Louisiana, where only people I knew had Southern accents.
Yeah.
Then you go to Florida, and you're even further south, but everybody's from Boston, Chicago, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Pennsylvania. Everybody's transplanted. So you don't hear Southern accents at all. And then I went to Tallahassee, where you start to hear some Georgia kind of accents, where you'll hear a little bit of that, some Alabama in there. But Perry, Florida is, hey, y'all, you'll come to Perry? Hey, we got in Perry, we got the Peach and Watermelon Festival every June, whatever.
Gosh.
I don't know what it is, but it's a really small town. One stop.
Sounds like Oglesby.
Yeah, yes. It's a little bigger because they have 11-man football, but yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things where the accents are not understood. You get a little bit of oh, hey, y'all come over here. I heard of y'all and not of you guys.
Right.
That's where I would notice the difference. Perry is
one of them.
When you say you guys, they're like, what guys? Those guys?
Yeah.
What guys? Not me guys. Oh, y'all, that's y'all. That's
y'all.
what, it's like you're talking in Spanish. They're like, no. Oh, that means y'all here. That's how you say that in this part. That's Perry. You don't walk up to a country boy.
Oh, no.
A swole country boy and step to him.
Nope.
He only knows a couple types of justice.
Yep.
And you don't want to know what they are.
You do not.
There's not. But yeah, he is a country boy. And you don't do that. But Boise State and Oregon, Kansas State at Tulane.
That's going to be fun.
That'll be interesting because they're going there. I remember Tulane beat them a couple years ago. I hope they keep playing each other. I like that one. App State at Clemson. I would do anything. I would do anything. But Arizona State, Texas State.
Ooh, I think Texas State just get some good.
Yeah, and then again, on the road.
Dude.
They're going to San Marcos. UNLV at Kansas. UNLV's pretty good. We buried them. That one is one they got to watch out for. Memphis at FSU. I think this game might be tougher for FSU than even Florida might be at the end of the year.
With all the connections and
yeah, it's going to be tough. That is their watch it game if there ever was one, for sure. Tulane also has Oklahoma. They're not messing around. Miami at USF. That USF they're on the ascension.
Do you think is that equivalent to the UCF Florida, or is pretty close?
Look, I just know that when Florida State played USF the first time, and Jim Leavitt said this is the most important game in the history of our program, they will take that seriously. Yeah. You saw what they did last year when Alabama came in. They took it seriously. They didn't have the horses to beat Alabama in a game if it had been Olympic rules where the game was shorter, they had them.
Right, yeah.
But there's no it's not like basketball that they shave 8 minutes off the game and they play 40 minutes. Then 60 minutes, Alabama was going to get them and did in terrible weather in 7 national championships. That was the best coach game of Nick Saban's career because of the spike game, the Jalen Milroe, oh, you'll do it my way game. Oh, you're petulant? Okay, we don't do that here.
Exactly. Make or break.
We're not in Milroe Town. We're in Saban world. Yes. So let's just make sure of that. When we come back, the NFL is going to try the Hawkeye, not the guy from MASH, and not the Marvel superhero, but in preseason games for the line to gain. This means the chain gang will go away. Do we like this, and is this necessary? And is this technology reliable enough that it needs to be there? I'm one who I love technology and I love improvements in technology, but sometimes humans are just better. We'll talk about that next. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly. But if you're still tying your critical applications together on multiple shared public networks, you've probably been feeling the slowdown. And that's no good for business. A private UPN fiber network can get you and your business moving at the speed of light. Whatever you need, we can build it. Internet, Metro Ethernet, Waves, dark fiber. We deliver custom private networks and are focused on business customers only. Our next generation 100% fiber optic infrastructure offers you low latency and ultra scalable bandwidth with speeds up to 100 gigabit to run your critical applications. Your connection won't be limiting your performance anymore. It's diverse and scalable, so it can grow and change as your business grows and changes. And with a secure carrier-grade private network, you'll have all the reliability you need. Contact UPN today to learn more. Fast just got faster.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Welcome to the Triple Option. Here's your host, Paul Catalina.
Welcome back. The Hawkeye is being used in NFL preseason games to determine the line to gain. I feel like this is going to trigger a lot more reviews because I don't know, like, how reliable is the technology? You know, what if my shoulder's over the line but the ball's not? I think this is going to trigger a lot more reviews on line to gain.
But the thing that I'm not sure about was reading through how they said when a first down would be picked up, the officials would automatically get like a message. Like, I guess this is going to be hooked to, I don't know, like a watch or what, but they're going to get a sort of notification, which would supposedly cut down on time. They're looking to shave like 40 seconds off. So, I mean, that's intriguing, but what happens if there's like a glitch or this is all brought on by Sony? And I'm not just being facetious here, but serious, like something gets hacked in the middle of an NFL game, you know, like that's where I'm kind of nervous about this. I like the idea of it, but at the same time, I would have liked them to go forward with a sky judge before they started doing this. And then kind of like, I think if you would have done a sky judge and then transitioned into this, it could have been easier and more efficient, personally.
Yeah. And they said the system is accurate down to less than half an inch, which is incredibly, incredibly accurate, and hope that the fans appreciate the objective view, or at least half the fans each play will be appreciating it. Obviously, you know,
no more card. What was that, the Cowboys and the Packers? They broke out the card.
The Raiders, the Cowboys and the Raiders. Yeah. Gene Steratore, the card put him into the booth, I think. We're like, you know what? I should probably just go analyze things now as opposed to doing this. And he's one of the best minds in officiating for sure. But even then, I'd be like, I mean, every little move you make is criticized. And so I get it. Like, there's ways. I want them to improve technology. I want them to speed up replay. One of the things that is a problem with replay, and it's a problem overall, is that a lot of the replay officials are just retired officials. Right. Now, when they go back to a hub, somewhere and review it, that's better. But also, I think that a lot of those guys are retired officials because you need people who know the game inside and out. The problem is that, have you ever tried to teach your dad how to work his own DVR? This is how it goes, you know. So there's limits to these things, and if they can make it better, they can make it better. But I do worry about an over-reliance on technology, and I do think, as much as I like the fact that we have instant replay available, I do think that it is a crutch. And
it's overused.
Yeah.
Because to me, I would like it better if, like, you were, I don't know, like you said, every team, kind of like, what do you get, 2 challenges in the NFL?
Yeah.
Okay, if every team got 3 challenges and that was it, like, and you only review Like, there's ways to tighten it up
Well,
and
I
not
like
have
the
to
way
rely on it so
I like
much.
the way the UFL did it this year, where they've got a sky judge.
That's what I want. I want a sky judge.
Like, that to me is, all right, you're going to have 3rd and 1 at the 27-yard line there. Or, hey, you threw a face mask call. It was not a face mask.
Right.
Don't tell them to throw penalties that they missed, that unless it's one of those things that, is like intentional grounding or – illegal forward pass, something that you kind of need to review to make sure that it was.
Right.
Because that's what they do with intentional grounding anyway, or, any kind of play that would result in an ejection, those kind of things. Like, don't be like, oh, hey, you missed a hold. Well, then, those things like, oh, he was offside. Well, if they miss it, they miss it. But, yes, it was a fumble. Yes, it was recovered. It's at the 42-yard line. It's 1st and 10, the other team. 1st and 10, Green Bay, Dallas loses the ball. Like, that's how it goes. It's a lot faster than, all right, we're going to bring you out the little screen here, and you're going to watch it, and we're going to tell you what goes on. Just tell them. Don't mark it down of that. Like, just tell them, all right, yes, because some of them take way too long even for what they are.
Yeah.
And so if this system helps speed that up, also, if you're losing 40 seconds and changing, that is time you can probably – that's not time you're going to save in the game. That's time that's going to go back into something else.
It's going to go back into commercials.
It's going
That's exactly what it's going to go back into.
Which means it's going to go back into the reviews that they need to make. So, yeah, if you can take 40 seconds off of every first down, then, yes, now you're going to have time where it probably doesn't make you seem like this is going on forever with this review because – You're doing that. I get it. I just hope that when it's implemented fully, especially when it goes down to college football, which it will.
See, that's one thing that I don't understand about any of the I guess from a money perspective, because all the stadiums are getting this new technology put into them to track this. But anytime it comes to rules in general, like especially in football, I don't understand why they roll them out at the NFL and then try to do a trickle-down effect. Because to me, like, you would, if you are, especially like if it was a rule change, why wouldn't you want to implement that at the lower level first? That way everybody is adapted to it, and by the time they get to the league, it's just second nature instead of having to redo and relearn everything you've learned across the way, like tackling and stuff like that. So little things like this is one, that's where it's always kind of bugged me. Like, why would you do it backwards in a sense? But that's just here or there.
Yeah, no. Roll it up. Don't roll it
down. Like, to me, if you have everybody coming up and learning, then there's no readjusting and learning on the fly.
That's why I think the UFL is smart to do these things.
It's very smart.
But yeah, I would, if I were Hawkeye, I'd be like, UFL, will you guys institute this? Now, Barry Crawford makes a great point, is that knowing where the ball is within a half an inch doesn't tell you whether the runner's knee was down or not, or whether the receiver touched the line. That's all still subjective. So, yeah, so that's still going to have to get reviewed. Like, okay, well, the ball crossed the line to gain, but where was the runner's knee? All those things. Yeah, that's still going to be that. So I don't know, but yeah, retired stockbroker also just found out what Hawk Tua is.
Oh, I bet that made his day.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did. She's getting booked a lot of places, and here's where it bothers me. I'm for everybody, getting their 15 minutes. But she's going to have to come up with a second joke.
Yeah.
If she wants to be a comedian and not an OnlyFans model. And she's already said she doesn't want to do that, but yeah, you got to come up with other funny stuff. That was funny and on the spot. It was great. But, when you're like, hey, let's book her for this thing, you're like, how many times can you hear that?
Right.
That joke, even Gallagher smashed something other than watermelons, right? So he had acts around the smashing the watermelon stuff. So, Kim Coulter asked Paul, what the hell is the new onside kick rule? Well, they can only do it in the fourth quarter I think. It's complicated. You have to tell everybody you're doing it. You can't like sneak
So there's
one.
no secret to it.
There's no secret to it. You can only do it when you're trailing. You can't do it when you're up.
Then what's the point of having it?
The Saints, that part's going to probably get changed because the Saints won a Super Bowl. But they were losing it, but they did it after halftime. Yeah. So there's all that. I'm excited for the new kickoff rule. So,
who do you think? Which teams do you think could take advantage of the new kickoff rule the most this year?
The Chiefs.
The Chiefs for sure.
The Chiefs have that rugby player, for God's sakes.
I mean, San Francisco, if you put like
San
Debo,
Francisco, Dallas with Kevontae Turpin, and Bones Fossil. Like that's
right up Bones' alley.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like, oh, great, new stuff. The Jets have a bunch of running backs. Like Izzy Abanaconda and guy. I don't know. Like they're going to have to cut one of them, but they've got running backs, guys that like normally you wouldn't have kick returning, but given the nature of it, where you can get, it's not about returning touchdowns, it's about better field position, right?
Field position.
Like touchdowns, fine. If you can get a touchdown, great. But instead of having to be at the 25-yard line, if you can be at the 44 because you handed it off to one of your running backs, then. Like Deuce, the Cowboys have Deuce Vaughn too. Woo. Like Deuce Vaughn, Kevontae Turpin, and kind of this thing. That to me is something set up for guys with that kind of speed and elusivity. So
I think it's also a good opportunity for, especially the way the running back position is starting to be neglected in the league, to give people more opportunities to find a different facet to stay in there longer for their careers.
Yeah. Kim Coulter sitting in the Admirals Lounge, and he's behind. There's a new kickoff rule, too. Yes, there is. Both teams will line up at their respective 30s, I believe.
So your 30s or 35s.
30s or 35s. There's not this long, 50 yards in either direction run up for the two of them. The kick returners will stand at the 15 or something like that, or the 10, and then so you'll get like real returns.
Right,
you'll get returns. It's going to be better. I like it for sure.
I like it too because I understand where they're coming from with like the full speed and everybody, the collisions and everything. But I think this is a good way to kind of meet in the middle there and keep part of the game. You're still going to have the collisions, but it's not going to be as intense. But you have the element of it's so fun to watch somebody get loose on a kick return.
Yeah,
you can't take that out of the game.
The kickoff has become something that either you get this rare 100-yard kickoff return. Yeah. You'll definitely get more concussions on it, and you're going to get concussions in the NFL.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. But when you're getting a lot of concussions on plays that are touchbacks or plays to the 17-yard line, the juice is not worth the squeeze in what you're doing. And so again, another thing the UFL pioneered was the kickoff to make it better. And I think keep on instituting these rules. I think it will go to college sooner rather than later. Once the NFL workshops it and works out the kinks and rules wise, especially if you see an uptick in touchdowns.
Oh yeah.
Then college is going to be like, well, we would like to do this.
Especially with all the gambling and stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, when you see an uptick in touchdowns, yeah. So it's going to be very interesting for fantasy football, too.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if you're a fantasy football player and you've got somebody who's a kick returner that, might be your fourth wide receiver, after a couple weeks when you see that, those yards are happening or touchdowns maybe happening more often, it's going to be Barry Crawford, of course, an Oklahoma State fan, is going to bring up Tyreek Hill.
As they should.
But look, the Dolphins have a bunch of guys. Devin Achane, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, a bunch of dudes who could be big in that. So, yeah, for sure. It's going to be that. Kim's in the Admirals Lounge. I love, on the very few occasions I've gotten to sit in the Admirals Lounge or the, whatever the that club is. It's nice. Sometimes they're okay. I'll tell you, Hawaiian Airlines, their first class lounge left a little desired. At least in Maui, it did. I was a little bit disappointed in that. But again, you're just hopping between islands, so it's not like all that. But I was kind of hoping for more fresh pineapple and
you would be treated like Alexander
other
the
than
Great.
okay, here's some snack mix and. a little machine that makes juice. But I'll tell you, so when you're going to Hawaii on American Airlines, American Airlines and Japan Airlines share an Admiral's Lounge at DFW. And you know what that means, Garrett? Japanese toilets.
Oh, perfect for you.
Yes. So, I used it twice, even though,
just seeking it out.
Well, I just went in, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go back and, nothing's happening here. But I feel like I didn't use all the features.
Right, yeah.
So I want to go through. But, yes, Japanese toilets. On my presidential platform, yes, he says after 2.7 million miles, it's no longer a big deal, but at least they're clean in the bathrooms. But yes, bidets. Yes, Japanese toilets are all bidets. Here's the thing. In Japan, most of the toilets,
they're on the ground, right?
No. They're toilets.
Okay.
And they're bidet. They're fancy. You have a button, and it washes you. It dries you off. All those things. It's glorious. You're, like Jim Gaffigan said, you're cleaner when you go out than when you went in. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes. My presidential platform, Japanese toilets and bidets in every bathroom. Also, when it comes to bathrooms, I will make the CEO of Buc-ee's my bathroom czar.
They are
my
elite.
bathroom czar. And if you do not adhere to the cleanliness standards of the Buc-ee's bathroom, you will be fined and ticketed by the government.
I think the only person I've ever heard have a flaw with a Buc-ee's bathroom is Chris Allman, because he's colorblind. And he can't tell when the red or the green is on when he's going through there.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it. But we will have those kind of cleanliness standards. Now, look, I know that you probably don't have it in your budget to build everything like a Buc-ee's bathroom. Those are the infrastructure subsidies that a Paul Catalina administration will make sure you get your way. We are going to have clean bathrooms. We are going to aspire. America's the greatest country in the world, right? We keep saying it. Well, guess what? There's some things we're behind on, and bathroom cleanliness is one of them. Mm-hmm. There are countries, like Bangladesh, we're right above them. We don't need that. We need to be on the cutting edge of bathroom cleanliness, and that's what America rises to challenges. And if you're not ready for a really clean bathroom, and airport bathrooms are getting more disgusting by the second.
Yeah, airports are going downhill.
Oh, brother, the Palm Springs airport bathroom was just
brutal.
It's like somebody went in there and they had drains on the ground in every stall. So I feel like somebody went in there and just said, how much can I pee on the ground? This is an important issue to me, that we're going to have clean bathrooms. Clean bathrooms. That's a huge deal. I've already told you about microwave uniformity.
Yes.
That you will be able to program a microwave no matter what. At least they can have extra features and extra buttons all they want.
That's cool, but cook the same.
But I want to be able to hit 60 seconds and start the same way on every microwave. Not time cook, temperature, start, whatever. I want 6-0 start every microwave in America. That's what I want. So I want airport bathrooms to start adhering to some standards. Public restrooms to start adhering to some standards. Gas station bathrooms, for God's sake. Do truckers even have sex in bathrooms anymore? Can you do it? They're gross.
I don't know, man. You get the right lot, lizard.
I want truckers to be able to feel clean when they've had clandestine sex in a bathroom. That's what I want. That's what I want for America. Truckers have really hard lives. Really hard, especially now, since we're not regulating their bosses at all, and they're making them drive cross country and do speed and all these terrible things. I'm going to help you, truckers. You're going to have better lives, and if you're stressed out and need to have a quickie in the bathroom with a stripper you met, the bathroom's going to be clean, by God. It's going to be clean. I'm a friend of the working man. You hear me, America? I am for you. Clean bathrooms. Look, it's the little things.
It really is.
Okay.
They add up.
Okay, Republicans, Democrats, MAGA, liberal hippies, like we can all come together in the fact that when we're out and we need to pee, we want to pee in a place that is not covered in bacteria.
Yes.
That's what we want. That's where we can come together. So if it's just that little issue where the left and the right can come to the center and join together, if clean bathrooms is where we have to start, then that's where we're going to start. And then, you know what? I'll take on racism after that. But first, we're going to do clean bathrooms. We can all agree, whatever race we are, whatever political affiliation, whatever religion or not religion, if you're Presbyterian or you worship the sun god Ra, we all want to pee in a clean place. That's what we want for America.
Love it.
I'm bringing us together one toilet at a time. Also, for women's bathrooms, here's another idea I have. May not work as much, but there's quite often lines. See, men, we have the trough, right? We have the trough. So we can go up to the trough. For women, I'm going to propose the bench. Ooh. Just a straight across bench for stadiums. To keep it moving.
I like it.
To keep it moving. There might be a lack of privacy that might not hunt. Like, I'll have to ask, people who've been in women's bathrooms, if that would work. I don't know. But
just put individual stalls.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're talking bidets. We're talking mops. We're talking clean up sinks. Listen, Windex. Do you have any idea how much money Windex will give to my campaign?
Oh, dude, they'll be one of your biggest funders.
Windex scrubbing bubbles.
Pledge? Come on.
I'll be able to run on just that alone. I've got to fight big toilet paper, so I need the help of.
You're going down, Scott.
Yeah, exactly. You're going down. Listen, that Charmin bear, he's going to be a rug on my friggin' ground right in front of my fireplace. That's who that's going to be. We're going to have Japanese toilets bringing America together. That's how we're going to do it, baby. Everybody's trying to do it the complex way. I'm starting simple. That's what I want. On the show today, loaded up with guests again. Coming up, we've got Colt Barber to talk Baylor with us. Got to see Colt yesterday. It must be the summer solstice. Dave Wilson of ESPN.com. Jed Drenning covers West Virginia. Hans Olsen, Steven Johnson of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. We'll talk BYU, Utah, TCU, and Arizona State today. Plus, you get to find out who my top 5 is in the top 5. So a top 5. Woo. Yeah, the world is collapsing in on itself. But, again, Catalina 2028, clean bathrooms for America. I'm coming for you. That's what we're doing. This is the Triple Option on 365 Sports.
If your business is like most, you need things done quickly.